I'm gonna be honest, I completely missed the real point of food in Pokopia this entire time. Did you know that food in Pokopia has different buffs that allow you to do a ton of different things, and that cooking meals actually is much more beneficial than giving Pokemon just basic items? We'll be going over all the secrets of food buffs as well as cooking, and the secrets of where I got all these Ditto items that are around me, if you notice. More on that later. Alright, let's get into the video. Now, before we get to cooking, we have to talk about some of the basic items that we're going to need in order to cook food. Some of those basic items are going to be things like wheat that you can grow, potatoes that you can grow, beans over here that you can grow, and tomatoes that you can also grow. The only vegetable that you can't grow is going to be carrots, which have a random spontaneous chance of showing up in empty areas, and if you pull them out, they might be leaves or they could end up being carrots. So carrots are a little bit more on the rare side. Now, believe it or not, each one of these vegetables are going to all have their own profile, and those profiles fall under generic, bitter, dry, sour, spicy, or sweet. And why exactly does these profiles matter? Well, when you go into your Pokedex and you decide to take a look at any single Pokemon, let's say Blastoise for example, you go over to specialties and likes, look at the bottom of favorites, and you'll see that it likes sour flavors. And it doesn't mean that every single Pokemon in that evolution line is going to like the same thing. You can see that Wartortle here likes spicy, and Squirtle likes sweet. So as it grows up, its flavor seems to adapt. Kind of weird that it goes from sweet to sour. But anyway, every single Pokemon has their own preferred flavor. And when you give Pokemon items that they like, they will acknowledge that, and their comfort level will go up a lot more, which will end up overall bringing up your environment level, which is always a great thing to have. Now, to go over the quick profiles of all these vegetables, so crops like wheat are the dry profile, tomatoes are the sour profile, potatoes are the bitter profile, beans are the sweet profile, and carrots are the spicy profile. Don't worry, we're gonna have a graphic at the end of the video to summarize this all up, but this is just for you to learn. Now, besides vegetables as a basic ingredient, there is also going to be a bunch of berries over here, and I do have a little berry farm that I will show off real quick. These berries all have their own profile as well. The Lepa berry is going to be something known as a generic flavor, so it's pretty much bland, as well as the lumberry. Both these berries fall under bland, while the Chesto berry directly tells you that it is a dry flavor. The Asper berry is going to be a sour flavor. The Petra berry is going to be a sweet flavor, and the Ross berry is going to be a bitter berry, so you understand exactly how those work. There's also two other items that you'll come across: cave mushrooms in the Rocky Ridges area, as well as something that you can farm in the Volcanic Dream Island by using the Arcanine Pokédoll plush, as well as the Clefairy Pokédoll plush. You can farm the mushrooms over there. Those cave mushrooms are going to be considered under the dry flavor profile. And the other basic item is going to be seaweed. Seaweed, the final item, does show up on beaches, and one place that you can go for that specifically is using the Pikachu Pokédoll to go to the beach Dream Island. There's some seaweed here, and that's going to fall under the bitter flavor profile. Now, did you know that there are also buffs that are in the game that can increase certain aspects, like chances of finding rare items, Pokemon spawning, Pokemon loving you more, etc., which is going to be unlocked after you complete the Bleak Beach storyline, and this is going to have you interacting specifically with Mosslax. You realize this is the case because Mosslax will be sitting in the cave with the little offering table in front of it, and if you place an item on that offering, Mosslax will then give you a bonus buff for the entire day. Now, remember how we talked about all those flavor profiles and all those basic items? Well, these basic items can actually give you buffs, and you don't need to cook food in order to get these buffs. So on screen, if you want to take a quick screenshot, I'm throwing a picture made by my buddy Future Sight. Shout out to you, Future Sight, for comboing all the certain food items for the breakdown. But essentially, here's how it goes, right? The Lepa berry, the Lum berry, if you give that to Mosslax, you'll get an increased rate buff to grow closer with your Pokemon, basically establishing your bond and raising up their comfort level, which will then lead to an environment level overall going up. If you give Mosslax bitter items like the raspberry, potato, or seaweed, you're going to then end up with having the chance of finding more rare items. Now, what are rare items? This needs to be distinguished completely in your game. Rare items to me are things like armor fragments that you can craft into Cerulege's or Armarouge's armor, strings that you can craft into Toxicitry's guitars. I also consider rare items the slates that you find in the game that you're going to be using in the unknown area in order to acquire the mythical Pokemon Mew once you do complete that entire thing. I also consider CDs to be these rare items. Also, feel free to let me know what you consider to be rare items in the game. If you give Mosslax dry profile of Chesto berry, wheat, and cave mushrooms, you're actually going to increase the chances to see rare Pokemon with feathers. This is essentially referring to Ho-Oh and Lugia dropping those feathers in front of you, and you can combo this specific dry bonus buff with the legendary video that we did talk about showing you how to register Ho-Oh and Lugia. It's a totally separate video, but if you did watch that one, this dry bonus buff is going to make a lot of sense. And also you could trade Ho-Oh feathers and Lugia feathers with Pokemon like Gimmighoul and Gholdengo in order to receive items, because those Pokemon do trade for special items. If you use sour items like the tomato and the asperberry, and that is going to increase the chance of shops having good items. And in this game, there are various shops that you're going to encounter. If you have Pokemon centers, Pokemon come in there into the shops. They show up in the Pokemart. They also can show up in your towns at random trade areas that you set up for yourselves. So you'll see Pokemon not with the basic items when it comes to those. If you use spicy profile items like the carrot, you'll increase the chance of Pokemon appearing in habitats. Let's say you're trying to get a really very rare Pokemon to spawn in that patch of grass that you have, but it's not actually happening. Well, this might just increase that chance of you waiting for that Charizard or that Blastoise or that Venusaur. Having this buff active on Mosslax will probably make it more likely to happen if that habitat is completely empty and it's the only one waiting there. So try that out if you're struggling having a Pokemon show up in a specific habitat. If you use sweet profile items like the Pecha Berry and beans, it'll increase the chance of ancient artifacts, which include large relics, small relics, and fossils. But the big question is, what exactly is considered an ancient artifact? Well, if you go into your collection and actually click on ancient artifacts, you'll see that there are 3 pages that are considered to be artifacts. You got the lost relics large, followed up by the lost relics small, and then you have fossils. All these are going to be increased when you do have this buff, which is why I said things like CDs and other stuff, miscellaneous items, are going to be completely considered to be the rare items and separate from your ancient artifacts. And if you notice, mysterious slates don't fall under that. Also, before we jump into the cooking part, now you know that you don't have to give Mosslax fully blown cooked meals in order to get these various benefits. Again, I'm throwing this up on the screen one more time. Grab a screenshot, save this. Shout out to FutureSight for making this complete chart. It's very helpful. Now let's talk about cooking. Mamma mia. Let's talk about Chef Dente. Mamma mia. Before we move on, I just wanted to let everyone know that I, Phillybeatzu, am sponsored by the Pokemon Center. Speaking about being sponsored, that's not even the cool part. This is the cool part. There's Ditto products that you can purchase on the Pokemon Center right now, including this Ditto mug. Look at all these Ditto plushies, but the 2, 3, actually there's a couple of important ones, but I think the Lapras Ditto one, perfect, because you get to turn into Ditto in the game to Lapras. Dragonite, because you get to turn into Dragonite in the game, and I think Magnemite is pretty fire because you could turn into that inside of Pokopia. It's kind of insane how much Ditto merch there actually is, and you can see all the other Dittos behind me. They have Ditto Bulbasaur, Snorlax. What is this? Oh, we got Ditto Mew. There's Ditto Mew. So much Ditto. You can find all this Ditto merch on the PokemonCenter.com, which I will be linking my link in the description below. It's on the screen right here, and it's going to be in the pinned comments. And all you have to do is when you click on that link, type in the word Ditto and start scrolling. You'll find so much Ditto stuff. That's literally what I wanted to talk to you all about. All right, let's move on to the next part of our video. Okay, we've reached the big part, which is going to be cooking. Now, let's talk about where it even begins. Cooking is going to take place when you enter the Rocky Ridges environment. If you follow through with all the requests, eventually you'll get access to a Pokemon known as Chef Dente, who's going to teach you exactly how to cook. If you follow up, do the entire story, as well as following all of the requests, you'll get access to the various different types of items needed for cooking. So if you're stuck unlocking any of these things that I talk about, just go to Rocky Ridges, do all the Pokemon requests, complete the main stories there. The oven is going to allow you to make bread in the game. Bread is basically going to power up your cut. So from regular cut to full-blown cut, that takes out a lot of stuff and trees in one shot. It's really nice in order to power up your cut. Really helps with land clearing. Cutting boards are going to be very important for making salads. Now, normally when you are using leafage to make a Pokemon environment or popping up grass, it's literally one piece of grass at a time. When leafage is powered up by a salad, you'll be able to pop up one entire Pokemon environment at a time, which will make grass a lot easier to bring up. That's what salads are for. Cooking pots are specifically going to be used for soup. In order to make soup, you're going to actually need 1 bottle of fresh water. So make sure that you do have a bunch bunch of vending machines available. So if you don't get water, you can wait for the next day and collect water. I do suggest that you focus on making a bunch of vending machines as a farm. It's almost like I have a farming video talking about the vending machine farm. It's pretty nice. So vending machines important for fresh water because that starts your soup. But don't worry, it's not that insane to need soup because all it does is just power up the area that your water gun goes on. So instead of a small patch when you use it, it is a much larger watering area of water gun. I don't find this one as useful in the game for me personally, but it makes sense because it is harder to get, so it's totally up to you. Anyway, moving on, the most important one out of every single one of these foods, in my opinion, is the frying pan. Frying pan is going to make things called burgers, and burgers are going to power up your rock smash so you can get through items, and some people may not know this, but graveler rolling also utilizes the rock smash at the exact same time. So you're powering up graveler and the rock smash at the exact same time. Now, I do want to point out, not every burger is built the same, and some are actually built differently. But we'll go over that with all of the recipes. Now, real quick, if you open up your main menu and you head over to your collection and then tab over to the items here, there is going to be a section that is literally just for foods, right? So here you go, foods on the page, as you can see, and the recipes are going to start on the second row after mushroom. And you can see there is quite a bit of recipes. In this video, we're going to also help you just fill this out really quick so that you can make all of these foods and have them ready to go, just to say that you filled out your foods. That's why it's a cooking and a buff video, so you know everything. Let's go over salad. To make a simple salad, just throw a bunch of leaves in there and you're done. You have a simple salad. To make a lepa salad, just add a lepa berry in there and you'll have a lepa berry salad. To make a seaweed salad, all you're gonna need to add in there is, well, seaweed, and you'll have that seaweed salad done. To make shredded salad, all you have to do is grab a Pokemon that has the chop specialty with you, make them follow you, and then make that salad, and then you'll get the shredded salad. In order to get the crushed berry salad, you're gonna need the Chesto berry along with a Pokemon that has the crushed specialty. Do that together and you'll have your crushed berry salad. Pretty simple. And then a crouton salad is going to have you have bread put into the salad in order to make the salad, which is now going to lead us to talk about bread, because how on earth do you make bread? In order to make simple bread, all you need is wheat, pretty much. That's always the standard one. You could just throw a bunch of wheat in there, you get a simple bread. To make a lepa bread, take a lepa berry, throw it in there with the wheat, and you get your lepa bread. To make carrot bread, just take a carrot, throw it in there, and you have carrot bread. These are pretty simple, but I do want to go over these because they're going to help you. To make a recycled bread, you first are going to take bread and then put it into the bread while you have a Pokemon with the recycle specialty in order to get recycled bread. If you want fluffy bread, all you have to do is take a Pecha berry along with the water Pokemon specialty helping you, and you will get the fluffy bread. And if you want something known as a bread bowl, all you have to do is take a soup, put the soup in there along with a burn specialty Pokemon, and you will get yourself a bread bowl. But how do you make soup? Well, let's talk about the soup. Initially, to make soup, you're going to need a bottle of water, and then you can continue on with the ingredients. So simple soup, you can just throw bottles of water in there with other things, and you get a soup. Put seaweed inside of that soup, and you'll get seaweed soup. Put a cave mushroom in there and you will get a cave mushroom soup. If you have a Pokemon which generate with you while you create the soup, you will get an electrifying soup. Pretty cool. If you take beans and leaves and mix that with the water, you will get a healthy soup. And the final soup is a asperberry and a hamburger steak in order to get a flavorful soup. But how do we make hamburger steaks? Well, that's going to come down to the frying pan. Now, simply, you just need beans in order to make a simple hamburger steak. If you add a mushroom in there, it becomes a mushroom hamburger steak. If you want a tomato hamburger steak, you just add a tomato in there. If you want a potato hamburger steak, now this is really important. If you look at the description of potato hamburger steaks, it says that it powers up rock smash a lot when eaten. All right, we're going to come back to this point, but I want to point out potato hamburger steaks are the most important steak ever. Followed up by a bitter hamburger steak, which is going to be made with the raspberry and the lumberry. And then the final one is going to be the vibrant hamburger steak, where you're going to take a literal salad and, wait for it, a potato in it. And what does it say it does? It powers up rock smash a lot when eaten. Now, I want to point out the difference between these steaks. All the steaks do a wonderful job of allowing you to break blocks, etc., etc. But the most important one is going to be the potato hamburger steak, because it's going to allow you to break things that you normally can't break with the regular steak. Now, not every steak is made equal. You can see that one powers up rock smash a lot more, one just powers up rock smash. So I'm going to eat this. and it says has powered up my rock smash. Now that my rock smash is powered up, I see this strength rock here, and I'm going to punch it. Look at this. I cannot break things like this strength rock here. And there's some maybe other materials in the game that you might not be able to break when powered up with this rock smash, especially this one. So the difference is if I swap over and now I eat the potato hamburger steak, look at that, has powered up my rock smash. And now I'll go up to this strength rock. Boop. Broken. So basically what I'm trying to say here is the only steak that you should make for yourself in this game should specifically be the potato steak. So just grab a potato, throw whatever you want with it when it comes to the steak, and make that at all times. Also, a fun little thing that you can do if you have access to the Dragonite Island, which is my favorite one, the Dragonite Pokédoll that takes you to the Sky Dream Island. There's a little trick that you could do with Rock Smash / with Graveler. I think you could do this for any farming, but specifically, I do want to talk about going for rare Pokemetals on this island. Now, when you arrive on the island, literally all you probably need to do here is just dig like 6 below from where the water is. So find a block here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then once you're at this point, like 5, 6 or 5 or 6, turn into Graveler here and then go for a rollout. Look at that. Look at all that Pokemetal. You could just spam farm Pokemetals. Look at that. This is insanity. You just have to do this every time you have your powered up rock smash. You can do this for hours. Keep eating your potato steaks. Look how much I just got there. Basic farming right at the intro of the area. What is that? Pokemetal fragments. Boom. 19. Yeah, I just wanted to point that out. That's like something I like doing. You can do this in any cave with copper or iron, but I wanted to show you the Dragonite spot. And I thought that was pretty cool that I already have 41 Pokemetals just coming here. What? It's been like 30 seconds. There we go. Of course, to make all your cooking and farming a lot easier, in my farming video, I did have my kitchen next to the entire initial farm with berry trees and with the Venusaur there because comboing litter of leaves dropping along with trees for berries and all my recipes and foods growing made it a lot easier to cook foods when I needed to. However, I am, like I showed at the beginning of the video, working on a completely new setup over here and my kitchen will eventually move. So I have all my foods here just like this and my little tree farm over there, which is pretty nice because all I have to do is just punch the trees like this and the berries will come rolling out. So yeah, that's pretty much my setup for what I'm doing and currently why you don't see a kitchen next to this, but that's the ideal setup that you want to do. Put your berry farm next to your actual farm right by your kitchen so everything is close together. So overall, what is the entire point of cooking all these recipes when they all pretty much do the same exact things? Well, we talked a little bit earlier that giving Pokemon their favorite foods is going to raise their comfort level and how much they bond with you as Pokemon. But if you give a Pokemon their favorite flavor profiled food that is actually something that you cooked, it is going to do a lot more than a basic food item and raise their comfort level a lot more. Of course, comfort level is not only dictated by food, but this food is definitely going to help them grow to love and appreciate you more along with you doing their environment. So focus on giving cooked meals to Pokemon. In fact, you might even want to put it out on a plate for them within their environment so that they have access to it. Also, if you need to figure out what flavor profile your meal is, all you have to do is open up your menu, press minus on the food, and it'll tell you the flavor profile. So this potato hamburger steak is actually sweet. Now that you know everything about cooking, as well as my link down below to purchase anything and everything Ditto, which again, it could sell out, so make sure you're checking out that link. Make sure to click on this video on your screen over here because it's probably another really good Pokopia video.